Hey, nice to talk to you. Today, the topic is movement of ocean waters. The ocean water responds readily to any force acting upon it. It moves horizontally as well as vertically. Ocean water is always in motion. Movement takes place in three different ways in the ocean water. These are visible movements and the obscure movements. Visible movements, it is the waves, tides, and the currents. And obscure movements are the drifts and creeps. So we are going to study about the visible movements. Waves. Movement of surface water horizontally causes the waves. The surface water which rises and falls is more predominant than the actual forward motion of the water particles. It is called waves. It is the motion up and down motion of the water particles caused by the friction of air blowing across it. Most of the waves, they are generated by winds. As the wave passes the water, it moves upwards, forming a crest, followed by sinking of the surface. Reason being why the water sinks, it is due to the gravity. Sinking water, the limit to the surface, below the surface, it is called as the turf, wave turf. Wind generated waves present series of parallel crests and turfs. The upward limit of the wave is known as the crest, and the downward limit is known as the turf. The horizontal distance between two waves is called wavelength, and vertical distance between the crest and the turf is known as wave height. So it is the rhythmic movement of the water particles in a circular motion. Water particles remain at the same place. It is only the movement which travels forward towards the coast up to thousands of kilometers. The second movement is the tides. Tides, we know that the alternate rise and fall in the level of the seawater is known as tides. When the sea level of the seawater rises and its movement is towards the coast, it is called as high tide or flood tide. Immediately after the high tide, seawater falls and movement of water is towards the sea. It is called as low tide or the ebb tide. The earth exerts an attractive force on the moon and vice versa. The same is true for both the sun and the earth. Force of the sun and the moon causes the tide. Pull of the moon is felt more as moon is a nearer heavenly body than the sun. The gravitational force of the moon will be maximum at the earth's surface facing the moon, while it will be minimum at the opposite side of the earth. Point A of the earth's surface is nearer to the moon, whereas point B is away from the moon. The two high tides are produced at the same time, one on the sides of the earth facing the moon and the other diametrically opposite side. One high tide is caused due to the gravitational force of the moon and sun, and the other due to the centrifugal force. There are two types of tides, spring tide and neap tide. Tides do not rise to the same height every day. The relative position of moon and sun with respect to earth is responsible for it. Difference between the waters of high tide and low tide is called as tidal range. Now, the spring tide occurs on the full moon day or on the new moon day, because at this time the sun, moon and the earth, they are in a same line. Gravitational force of sun and the moon is combined. The high tide, they are the highest and they are called as the spring tides. The second type is the neap tide. Neap tides, they occur on half moon or when the moon is in its first quarter or the third quarter. Sun and the moon, they are at right angle to each other. So, the force works in opposite directions. The high tide is low than the normal tide. And this is known as the neap tide. That's all for the day. The third movement, ocean currents, we will study in the next video. Thank you.